I just need to set up some things before we get everything started. Obviously, I'm not very well organized as usual, so I'll have to do the organization now. Okay, so the title is updated. Can post that in the Discord server. This, okay. Just have to share the link and then we can get things underway. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Hopefully people are joining in. How are you guys doing? I have a beer for myself and I'm going to switch the scenes to here. And as you can see, we're going to be making kick drums today. And the reason for that is I want to do a new sample pack. I have my old drums collection, which people like, but it could be better, to be honest. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, is I'm going to make a whole bunch of different... Oh, this is the pack. A whole bunch of different sounds here. I've started to make a snare. I'm going to make more snares. Melodify, Klaus, how are you guys doing? You can see we have some kicks. Those are the kicks that we have already made. And then we have some other stuff here as well. And obviously the rest I still need to fill in. There's a lot missing. This is just starting out, so I really don't have a lot here. But what I want to do is... all of this project is set up in a very, very intelligent way, is the idea. So you can see this is the project that I've been using to actually make my kicks. I can make this a little bit more organized if I do like this, and then it doesn't scroll anymore. But you can see what I've essentially been doing is I've been separating it up into the body, the transient, and the head. And those three things combine into a kick. And you can see I'm just using different layers here. So we have head number 6, we have transient number 6, we have body number 6, and that's all for the 6th kick drum. Then we get processing. We also have different forms of processing. Actually, I should duplicate this so that it indicates that this is for 6. Those two went through the same processing, the 5 and the 6. Then we have this processing here. This should go on processing number 6 as well. You can see that we have different EQs and things set up to finalize the kick. Then I have a final recording and somewhere that I can place the final kick drum, the final sample. And then I have bass lines to test it with, so I can listen to the bass. So this is the final kick and bass here. I have size scope. This is kick and bass. I can see the different layers. I can choose an offbeat bass as well, or a sliding bass line. I can see how they work together. Mind be, hello. We have Sunra Prasad. I'm sorry for pronouncing that. I know that I mispronounced that. But welcome to the stream. Nice to see so many people show up. So what I essentially want to do is I just want to start making a new kick. And I can just start to duplicate over these things. So this is going to be kick 7. I can listen to that by setting this on here. Should be able to. We need a new processing chain. Going to be processing 7, which we're going to solo and delete. And turn up my own volume a little bit. Too many kick drums, there should only be a perfect one. Well, they are like special kick drums. You can see that these are in-tempo kicks, so I'm designing them specifically for the BPM. And what that means is, if we look at this here and we zoom in on the halfway point, here what we want is we don't want this as it is now so high. We want this around the zero crossing, right here on the grid point. So that's where your baseline transient is going to sit. So that is what I keep in mind while designing these. I also have another size scope actually. I should have that on here as well. This shows me the components of the kick. So this is transient, head, and body. And you can see the 3 different components in the 3 different colors. Actually, I can bump this up a little bit here, I can see. Okay, so we can make a new transient as well. Transient 7 is going to start off from this same idea. I want this to be soloed on its own. And then we'll do the same for the hat. I have so many, but I always use 1 or 2. Do you use them as samples or as like kick 2 presets? Because that's where a lot of customability can come in as well. I personally don't like to work with kick 2. I just much more like to work by making my own samples like I'm doing here. Because part of it is that I just want a bunch of new kick samples for myself as well. So I'll be able to make everything in 143. And then what I can do is I can just take this project, set it to a different BPM and remake all of the kicks for 145, 147, 150, 138, 140. All of the kind of common BPMs are going to be in here. I might make one for like 180 as well, or something like that, but that's not really my style, so I might not do that. I might go like 147, 145, 143, 140, and 138. So that would be 5 different BPMs, and I think that would be good enough. And I can just make 30 kicks in 143, and then I can just easily convert them into the next one by just recording all of the 1s, recording all of the 2s, recording all of the 3s, etc, etc, etc. What I should actually do, now that I think about it, is set up an automatic system for me to switch. Like if I go here and I set this to 1, this to 2. I just want to try something here. This one goes 1 more, this goes to 6. We'll set this to a macro. I don't want to limit this. Use distribute even. Yeah, but I want to continuously add more to them, so then it doesn't fill up each and every one. Now I can just go in here, duplicate it, and then go to the next one. What I want to do is find a slider. If I go to Max for Live Audio Instrument Effects, there should be a slider kind of thing in here. I believe values, is it? Yeah, these can be mapped, I think. Or is it fader? I think it might be fader. Fader. Okay, so this fader can go to a router, I believe, so that we can map different things. Ah, no, so it cannot go to multiple things. Where is the... Is it the multi-mult? Yes. So this I can map to the input, and then I can map the first one to the second, I believe. Or not. Or can I do it like this? Yes. Okay, so then all 6 of these have an output, and I can map this here. I hope. Go map, body source, click. It should now hopefully be mapped if I put this to like here. Yes, it has selected a different one. Okay. Perfect. So I quickly want to take some time to actually modify this so that it plays all of the unique different kicks, I guess. And what I should be able to do is just duplicate this system, and then every time what it will do, I just duplicate this thing, drag it to its new spot, and then I can, with one automation click on this kick wrapper here, just modify which of the kick processes are used, which of the kick different things are used, basically. Right? All of the parameters that determine which kick is being played are being set different, and that way I would be able at the new BPM to just record them once, edit all of the final processing here to make sure that the phasing is correct for the timing, and then I can record them again, and then I have all my kicks in the new BPM. Subliminal Music Entertainment, how are you doing? We have some other names in there. Obviously Desk Glitches here, very nice. Bass Monk, what's up? Okay, so this needs to be mapped to the wrapper. It's going to take a little bit of time, but hopefully we'll get the hang of it and become faster and faster with this. Some ambulances outside. Here as well for the different processes. It's all going to be the same thing so that the process is dependent on where we are in the chain, and I can mix and match here. Well, this was a glide lead. We could sample it. We could turn it into a glide lead. If you want it to be a glide lead, it can become a glide lead. Okay, this should hopefully be the final one. Let's make a new chain here. Shortcuts don't work in here. Processing 7. Which actually means that we need to turn them all on again. Which is a little bit of a hassle, I guess. If there's one issue with this whole system is that it's very, very small to edit all of this. That's a little bit of the downside of having everything in such a small bar. It would be nice if that would be addressed at some point. We now no longer have... Ah, yes, because these are all turned off, of course. This should now be working. Need to turn on the processing chain also, because otherwise it's not going to work. But now that we have this set up, it should save us a lot of time. And what I hopefully should be able to do as a final thing, go to the map of each one and set this to 100 so that the measurements are one-on-one. Does that close mapping? I think it does. Cool. That's already at 100. Because our fader has 100 different values that it can run. So if we go from 0 to 100, it should be the same values as the fader itself, because that goes from 0.0 to 1.0, and then 2 decimal spaces, as you can see here. So go from, you can essentially multiply this by 100, and then we would have the same values. So this is a one-to-one relationship. I don't know if Bitwig has pop-out windows for that stuff. If you're gonna be like this the whole stream, then just kidding. Show automation. Okay, so what that means is that for here we can go from 0 to 0.01, and then from 0.01 to 0.02. I just have to set this up. We can essentially go up for everything here. What I could do, and what I'll probably do after the stream, is set up an automated system that will, so that I don't have to type this in. Because there's probably a way to do this with some kind of intelligence, like stepping. Intelligence ways of sequencing this, but for the next few kicks I'm just going to go up like this. So here we are at kick number 7, which is value 6, because 0.00 also counts as a value. So now this kick body is playing, which is exactly what we want. That's perfect. We should also check the other ones. We have processing 7, we have transient 7, we have head 7, and we have processing 7 on this, which will come in handy once we record it. Okay, so we can get into the actual kick making now, finally. I know it's been 15 hours, or 15 minutes, but still. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to quickly drag in our test baseline, and I want to find a key where we can work in. The last few have been in G sharp, so let's go with F sharp for this one. So I pitch down my test baselines, and then we can find the right spot for the kick. I like to have the key of my kick when I'm actually designing it and making it. I like to have the key of my kick 2 semitones below the key of the bass line. Gives a nice kind of dark feeling, but I've also found that it separates very, very well in this setting. Okay, so I'd like a little bit more punch from the transient, and I would like the head to be a lot smaller. So we're going to go back to simpler actually, and we should be able to set this. Yeah, we use a very, very short head as basically the transient kind of noise impact of the sound here. And then we can play with this transient as well. Obviously not like that. That sounds nice. Let's get ourselves an EQ. I need to start up the live enhancement suite. Sometimes it just closes. If I don't use Ableton for a long time, it closes. I have it in my startup, but still. Okay, so big problem there. Our transient is a bit too loud in that space. I'd like a little bit more punch from this, so I'm going to go like 125. Number 2. Bit more high click sound, I guess. Some of these EQ shapes look really, really strange, but they do work. Okay, so that's the first step. We have made our kick and we have done our initial processing. What I want to do now is record it. I have a special track for that, so I go like that with one recording, and I can just take that and duplicate it over the edit channel, which now we need to go here. Sorry, like this, that we can see. Okay, so I first want to check the volume, which, as you can see, it isn't as full as it can be because we have a very strong transient. So I want to fix that. What I can try to do is clip this a little bit. Obviously we don't want to go too hard and we want a clipper that is nice and clean. So I'm going to go nice high oversampling. Set 1 point. Let's go for, can I fill in a value? I wanted to go exactly either 1. Yeah, let's go 1. 2. This is the right processing chain, right? Yes. I actually need to go here. Okay, so now that we have that, we can look at the edited version of the kick in SciScope. And we can see that we don't have a lineup here between this part and the grid. We want a zero crossing, so this part here, we want that to be on the grid. That's something that I like for my kicks to have. And that's why they are BPM dependent within the sample pack. As you can see, this is 143 BPM, specifically for that BPM, because that way I can guarantee that it lines up. Maybe I can do one more oscillation. Hello Sai, how are you doing? Could do a little bit more processing if you wanted to. Maybe the highest transient is a bit too high. Something like that maybe. Nice, strong kick feeling, I like it. Okay, so this is our recording. We now do our final cutting. Control J, zero this down here. And then we can make our final fade out here. Make sure that there's no kick on the last part of the beat. And then I consolidate it into a full beat. We rename this. Take this and put it in here. And now we have another F sharp kick. 7 F sharp. That's what I'll be doing today, many times, and we'll just go from one to the next to the next. Now I should be able to go in here, find its automation, and this one has its automation already set. Let's set it for the next one then as well. Now we shouldn't hear anything here because there is no body 8 yet. So we can create body 8. And we can move its chain to the corresponding chain. And then we should get an output as long as we have, as long as we have the right processing in there as well. So create chain. Processing 8. I should have gone through this before the stream and set up like 20 parts in advance so I could just focus on the kick making itself. But I think it's also interesting to see the behind the screens of such a sample making project. Because if you automate all of this and you make it very, very easy to work with and to recall, as we can see, not now, but once I need to make the other BPMs, it's gonna be really easy to play with. Getting some nice clean stuff from there. Yeah, so now we can hear the body. Maybe we can make one that fits. Let's go D sharp here. Sharp, sharp, D sharp. So then we need to set this pitch lower. This is a bit too low. Nice. Doesn't really have the right volume yet, but that's okay. Let's add our transient. So transient we just duplicate. 8. Bam. Next. And we essentially get a transient. But I'd like to always get a new one, try some different things out. Here we have a very strong one. Something like that. Maybe we'll go again for a little bit of a shorter hat. Hat number 8. And it could also for later parts, for later versions, just kind of mess around with different combinations. I could try to have hat number 4 with body number 6 with transient number 1 and then create a new kick that way, out of that. some of the processing that I'd like to do. I have some very strong comb filtering right there. Let's keep this up. See if we can fix that with the phase. Or the pitch maybe. Like this. Obviously clipping now, so that's something that we need to address. Dynamics. Yeah, you can see the attack is way too strong here. Or crunch, I guess. I want to clip this again. It's going to be the same idea, just make sure that it sounds loud. Like a kick should be. You can see the transient is way too loud for the rest of the kick, so that's what we're going to address. That sounds nicer. Perfect. Okay, let's record this and see what we have. Nice strong kick. Let's switch between the recording mode here. We go into the edit and we create our new processing chain. 8. Make sure that this is in the right spot. Why are we not getting an output from this still? Kick warper. Ah, we want this off, of course. Okay, what we want to check is in our size scope here, how our kick is layering here. We need to do any changes to it, and I think in terms of phase shift we could do a very small phase shift, but I don't think that it's necessary. So I'm actually going to leave it here because I do like the sound of this kick drum. So I can record it, not that it matters, but I'll just keep doing the way that I've been doing it. And then we see, okay, it finishes earlier as the halfway point, so that's also good for our check. We'll do our final check and normalize it. It's now normalized. That's a finished kick. We can create a sample from that. This was D sharp, 8 D sharp. And just for your idea so that you can hear different things that our kick is doing. Here's an offbeat bass. Really like how that sounds together. Very tight. Nice sliding bass as well. That nicely phases in here. I like that. Cristiano, hello, how are you doing? Are those kicks coming from Serum? Yes. We have 3 layers. We have a body layer, as you can see here. That's to create the body of our kick drum. We have our transient layer, which is to select a kick transient from the transient pack that come in here, attack kicks. And then we have a head source where I just use random head samples. I kind of use the same one all the time, but with different ADSR parameters to get longer and shorter kicks. They sound crazy good, bro. Thank you. Glad that you like them. The cool thing about my kicks here in this project is that I make them for 1 BPM and I'm just going to be able to make them for all of the BPMs. That's going to be the nice bit. What I want to do is make one for A sharp, because as you can see we have very little for A sharp at the moment, just 1 kick, and it is a key that I like to use personally. So we should be able to go in here and make our new chains, as always. We create a new body. 9. Here we are. Let's actually take the processing off the chain itself, because we're starting over. 1-to-1 with a little bit more punch here, I guess. Okay, so that's our body. We add a transient on top of that. You're kicking it, I see. Thank you. Nice one. Okay. We have our transient. And again, I want to experiment with a bunch of them. Let's see from the start if we can see. What I want to do is have an EQ on here, which I can put on my second monitor. I can see what's going on. Although I don't really like this. I like the spectrum from Ableton much more for my kicks, because it feels a little bit more automatic. What's mainly important right now is the high part here, the transient, because that's obviously what this is going to fill in. I should set this key properly before I do anything else. That doesn't. I guess it kind of. You're using noise for the tail? No, that's the transient. And these are all the kick transients that come within Serum, which is in this folder here, which is not really noise, it's just like a short, very quick transient. Transient means the click at the beginning, yes. I like that one. This one sounds clean. Also looks fairly clean on the spectrum. I could add a boost here. Because our head is not going to reach there. Have a big boost there, and then we stretch this peak down. Have another peak up there that we can take care of. That's you. And then we can use a steep here. This goes to G sharp, which is exactly where I want it to be. I like to bring out a little bit more punch here too. Let's go like 90 hertz. Or let's go 80. 85 maybe. This is kind of the area. Quickly want to look at the wave. Actually, we don't have to record for that. We have our size scope kick. Yes, it's flipping already, I think. It could use a little bit of a boost in the low end too. Also in terms of length a little bit. Because it is a bit on the short side, we can make this a little bit longer and then fade it out. The way that you usually do that is with the actual negative side effects of phasing. So now, this should work. Or I should check it in this one, I think. This one. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit longer. We can also see that we have a very strong transient here, which I want to reduce. This is a nice sounding kick, I do like it. It's kind of like the newer style of sidetrends where a lot of people work in A sharp. Get that nice light feeling from it. Very punchy. Yes, yes, indeed. I like it too. It's a little bit bigger in this area than the other ones. If you look at this one, this is slightly lower in volume. There are some other ones which are even lower still. Like this one is very low, so you get that very dark kind of lower punch. Get the very low, very hollow feeling. But sometimes it's nice for the higher keys to have a little bit more of a punch style than the kind of standard low oomph that you get from a kick. This comes with a little bit of more kind of higher bass frequencies. Okay, so we do our edits, we create another processing track here. We'll have to check if we need to phase shift this kick. We might need to because we already phase shifted it. But there's a lot of factors on which this depends. Let's turn it off for now and let's just have a look at our kick and bass kick. And let's zoom in. It's actually exactly on the money. That's perfect, and then we don't have to do anything. We can do a little bit of EQ maybe if still needed. Yeah, that is not what I'm listening at. Ah, I'm still listening to the sources. This is nice. Okay. It's very, very loud. Okay. If this goes to 0, then our sub bass is going to look terrible, isn't it? Yes. That's way too quiet of a sub bass. So we'll do another clipper. Let's have a listen and a look at what it's now. Now it's 0.53. That's a much better result. And this should still be phase aligned, hopefully, exactly. We can just add our fades towards the end here. And we have our kick drum. Very, very nice. That's how easy it is. So this is for A sharp. We drag it in here and go A sharp. So now again, we go to the next one. I don't know if I want to do this the whole stream. If you guys enjoy watching this and you enjoy the whole thing, then I'll do this for the whole stream. But maybe I want to do some other experiments. Maybe you guys have something to say or something like that you want to see. Tomorrow we have feedback, by the way. So for that everybody knows, you can still submit your tracks for feedback in the Discord. If you have a few of them in advance, it's handy because then I can get started immediately. Right now it's empty. There should be exclamation point feedback to get to the exact right position so that you can submit your stuff. So if you want to do that, then you can. Okay, so we have our body. We set up our new processing chain. Going to be processing 10. Actually going to quickly save this live set before we lose all of our progress. Turn you off. Let's get rid of all of the initial processing on this one, and then we can get started. And let's see, which key are we missing a lot of? We only have 2 that are in G sharp, which is my favorite key. So I would like a few more of those. G sharp really sits in between the high and the low part, which I like. Kind of the right space for this. That's already a nice sounding source. I think I'll go with a very low transient this time. And more of a longer hat. I'm not a big fan of hats on kicks. But sometimes they do help fit through the mix a lot more. Finding the right transient is really what takes a lot of time. Something like this. Lil Daviest, how are you doing? Nice to see you in here as well. Do we have a... We never made a transient for the last one. So transient 9 or hat 9 is just going to be empty. And I guess for number 10 I'll show you what my process actually is. Because this is number 10 for everything, right? 10 processing. Have yes. This will be hat number 10. Fish Vendra, how are you doing? A lot of known faces. We are really starting to build up kind of like a regular community. People who are just always joining in, which is nice, of course. I like that. Means that you get a lot more like casual conversation as well. Everybody's like, hey, how are you doing? Stuff like that. Usually with new viewers, it's not that much the case, although for me, it's very nice. People are very good to me. Okay, so this is too open of a hat. Something like this, maybe. Tenka, how are you doing? I guess I can go a little bit like this. Can't wait to watch back all of the kick synthesis you've missed so far. Well, we made... How many did we make? 3? I think? Or 4? I think this is the 4th. I think I started off with having 6 already made, and we made 3 more now, because obviously when explaining, this also goes a little bit slower. And I had to set up a bunch of different things beforehand. Do you not use kick 2? Nope, I use Serum for my kicks. And they sound pretty nice, so I'm happy with that decision. Actually, let's look at the processing for a quick bit of time. I mean, everybody has their own process, but for me, kick 2 just, I don't know, it never really felt like I needed it. And I think I made a video on this as well, of not feeling like you need kick 2. Even though everybody is very hyped about how well you can design the kick drums, I feel like my kick drums do just fine, and I have the right amount of control without that. I can just use a bunch of EQs to line it up and then get it to be where it needs to be. We get very nice kicks and basses from that. Okay, and I want to remove that from the transient, then we get a much click here, although this area is something to worry about. Okay, let's use this shelf here. And a strong filter on this. Hertz again, or 70 hertz this time. This feels like a little bit more of like a jumpy kick and bass. I could see this working a bit better with maybe this, the offbeat. Been thinking about getting kick 2, but I'm afraid I won't be able to use it as I really don't know enough yet. Well, the only real way that you can learn kick 2 is to use kick 2. There's not much more that you can do outside of just using the tool to get to know the tools. It helps knowing how to make kicks the traditional way. Yes, that is true. If I'm lazy and I just want to get going, I just create something simple in Serum. That's what I'm trying to avoid here. What I'm trying to avoid is that you guys aren't interested in my kicks. So that's why I make this seem so very, very complex with all of these layers and this big project setup, so that you guys never feel the need to actually make your own kick drums and you just come scrambling to me for your samples. That's the end goal. World domination through kick drums. As always. World domination through kick drums, just like last time. Okay, let's see what we have to edit if we need to phase align anything here. It looks like we need to phase align. You can see this halfway point where normally your transient of the rolling bass is right at the peak of the kick, which I don't like when I'm making my bass lines, because I like to have the first bass line be without a sub, so I align the transient of the bass line in a trough or at a zero clipping of the kick, so that they don't clip together. Well, it's not so much the fact that you need wavetables. What you really need for kick synthesis is something like this, where you have a way to edit the curve with multiple points. That's really important. So I split it up into two. This is the first pitch envelope that sits on the actual coarse pitch here, and then this one is the very short transient click that you want that sits on the master tuning. And then I have a volume thing set up as well. Okay, let's get to our recorded ticks. We need to set up our processing here, which is already kind of sounding good, actually. The only thing that we need to do now is make sure that our kick is set correctly in terms of phase. So we go in here, we activate. I activated the wrong one. We want the one that is on our channel. Especially with the rolling bass line, you'll hear the difference. Back here. You can see it in the summing as well. This now sums in nicely, whereas before it's right on the top, so this peak jumps out more, and that's going to trigger your limiter more. So this just makes it so that your bass line aligns well with the kick. We should now be able to record this. Okay, and then we get our final kick drum. I design all my sounds myself, no presets and no samples on its own, and don't sell anything. Sound design itself, no hate towards anyone. Use what you want. But kick and make your own kick sample in a track is too much work, having all those samples at disposal. I understand both sides. It is just much easier to get into the actual parts that matter of music production, which is obviously writing songs and not making individual sounds, right? I like to do it because I like to do it. Let's give this a bit more gain. That's it. So that's why I like to do it. But you have a lot less control over the actual end sound of your sample. Like if I'm starting to make a track and I really don't like the sample that we're going for here, then it's just not going to work, right? The sample, if you're going to go the sample route, you need to make sure that your samples work with the track that you have. This is kick number 10. Dash. That's just a Giga Chat in here. He just smashes the plank with karate chops and whatnot. Why use time to invent the wheel again? Because you might end up with a better wheel than those that are currently available. That's why people do it. People think that maybe sometimes they're right, maybe sometimes they're not. That's a big debate. But people think that if you make the kick and bass specifically for your track, then that it works better with your track. Which, I mean, if you know what you're doing, it's gonna become really hard to argue that that's not the case, right? Because if you know how to make your kick drums, but people who are beginners that are just getting into it, and even people like me, I'm not saying that I'm an expert in making great sounding kick drums. I just make these ones, and I hope that you guys like what you hear, and that you eventually will say, yo, these are the kick drums that I want to use in my track, and that you'll buy them. Same is true with the kicks that I already have out, these as well. I hope that you guys enjoy those kicks and that you make wonderful tracks with them. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You're just gaining your last 5% here. After hundreds of tracks, it's over a year of wasted time. That's true, yes. At the end of the day, you are spending a lot of time and a lot of your creative energy as well, because that's usually the kind of energy that you have when you start the project, is, oh, I want to be creative, I want to make some new music. At least that gets me hyped up all the time. I wouldn't want to spend all of that time working on one individual kick sound. Okay, so this is working. Let's set up our processing chain. For 11. We now add our body in here. We should get some sound again. There we are. Let's get a different key. Let's go with this is G sharp. Let's go F sharp for the next one. A little bit of a strong punch in this area here. This area. who is that guy that does the in Audacity? It's not the same as what Little Davis is saying, but there's a guy that does music. He makes his music in Audacity, and he's specifically known for like his drums arrangement because there's no grid. He really lacks the grid, and so he just places in drums kind of at random points in the track. And he started to create kind of like lush drum and bass from that. It would always look or sounded like a cool idea to me to actually try that out sometime. Get a little bit of a stronger transient here. Nice. Okay, let's put on our top kick. Okay, so this one sounds terrible. I'm editing the wrong one, am I not? I think the transient here is a little bit too long. Okay, so a hat on top of this. I might actually not go for a hat on this. Hat 11. We'll probably do it like this. Get a nice transient from there. This is a nice starting point actually. Do you have any particular reason to use the LFO envelope mode instead of the dedicated env projector? Yes. Yes. If I go into the envelope, you can see that I can make more points if I wanted to. So that's more control. And you also have an easier time drawing it in because it matches the length of your actual kick. So this is the exact same length as the actual kick because the kick only takes the first half of the beat. So that's an eighth note. So this pitch window corresponds to exactly my kick. So I know that at the last point it will have a stable oscillation and it will have punch all the way through, or most of the way through up until like this point, because punch is like what you get from the pitching down feeding. Here I can separately change the transient, which is also nice, and obviously I can make these kind of curves here, which you cannot make in the envelope itself. Okay, let's quickly check on our size scope. We get a lot of transient here. Let's add an EQ and let's see if we can remedy that a little bit this way. That's just a little bit. I do kind of like the texture that we're getting from this, so I'm just going to try to clip this. Maybe a little bit of extra punch in the sub will help here, just to bring out the sub a little bit more. While we're here, we can also just immediately make sure that the phase shift is correct. The way I like to add my sub and simultaneously like do my phase shift is like this. You don't want that to hit the clipper, obviously. Okay. Nice strong kind of kick drum. This is very much like Volcanic tracks. I don't know if you guys know who Volcanic is. Why is this not playing? Ah, we need to have a processing chain here, obviously. 11. Have this go through here. Yeah, that's not gonna work. I mean, this kick is finished, so we don't really need it. Just so to make sure that it's nice and well set up, right? That it all looks nice. Project. Oh. Okay, we can get an F sharp, rename that. And we're already at kick number 11. I didn't really have set a goal for today. I just wanted to have fun, chat a little bit, make some kick drums, and just mess around overall. This is just a very chill stream, as usual. But what I might do is make a few more kicks. I actually kind of want to take a break right now, because listening to kick drums, it is very, very punchy and very, very detailed work, so I'm getting a little bit of ear fatigue. So what I can do is I can pull up the track that I did for the Masterclass, which is, by the way, finished and is going to release very, very soon. And then after that, we'll make a few more kick drums and then maybe do some production or something like that. 0.11. We can also make some other samples if we want to. We can maybe try to make some hi-hats. That could be interesting. But yeah, I want to do a little bit of... I also want to keep the stream interesting, if you know what I mean. So what I'll do is I'll take a quick break and I'll be right back. I'll put on the track from the Masterclass. Here is Final Master. Masterclass is coming out soon. Hopefully 2 or 3 more days, and then it's just completely finished. But for now, here we will have the final master track of the masterclass, and I'll be right back.
I believe that if we are honest with ourselves, that the most fascinating problem in the world is who am I? What do you mean? What do you feel when you say the word I myself?
not the body. I am not even the mind. I am not the body. I am not even the mind. I am not the body. I am not even the mind. I am not the body. I am not even the mind.
Growing up, I was always very proud of this body. And I was also very proud of my mind. And I identified with my body and my mind, as we all do. I identified with my body and mind as me. But it's not me, far from it. If we just observe life as it is, we can see that this body cannot be me.
Nice. So that's the Masterclass track. Is the new Masterclass available yet? Not yet. It will be available in a few days. What I still need to do is all of the video work, all of the promotional work, making sure that there's like a nice trailer to go with it and stuff like that. And I'll make a video explaining what's in the Masterclass and the pricing and stuff like that. I'm probably gonna do $60 for just the videos, and I'll quickly show you guys the videos here. Let me find it. Here. These are all the videos that are in there, so this is 74 gigabytes. So that's quite a lot. I need to maybe compress that down or something, or see if there's a way to get this up on Gumroad in a nice way, so that you guys can easily get it and download it. So it will be $60 video only, and then if you want the project files and all of the stems and basically the project files for the mixing for Reaper, as well as for the creation obviously for in Ableton, then you'll be able to get that for, I think I'll do $120 for everything. So there's a little bit of like a deluxe edition version of the Masterclass as well. Either way, I want to continue with making some more kicks. I want to do a few more, and then maybe what we can do is look into sound designing some other drums. So maybe we'll go make some hi-hats, or maybe we'll go make some snares or some claps, stuff like that. That's always very interesting, so that's what we can do. Either way, we need to set up a new series of chains here, as always. Number 12. We already have 11 kicks. That's quite a lot, actually. Well, not for the pack. I'm gonna aim for about 30 to 35 kicks per BPM. And the cool thing is I can just remake the same kicks for different BPMs and then have those all available. So I can make a whole bunch of kicks. I might even go for some crazy number like 60 kicks for each BPM so that you have a lot of choice. But that just depends on how fast everything goes. Either way, we should have, yes, our body. So let's go body 12. Let's get rid of this. Let's go into the sources and get rid of processing on there as well. So we start off with a brand new kick here. I want to make one for A sharp again, because we have very few of those still. Okay, so this one has a little bit of a nasty click that I want to avoid. Maybe just like a strong click like this, if you find a nice transient to go with it. Transient number 12. This one obviously needs to be here. I don't know what I was doing with the utility. Changing its phase apparently. Oh, it's nice to keep that actually. So we can remove the LFO tool, but we can keep this to check the phase. That's actually important. Let's go to layers. We should have the two different layers together. And we can look in here what the difference is. I'd like to align this. Let's try and do that. We can get something like this, and then for our kick transient we can just make sure that it stops like right here, so that it doesn't cancel out, maybe say from here. So we set this to like a very sharp envelope, and then we should be able to set this to the level. And if we make it shorter, that's going to remove all of our problems. Okay. A little bit hard to see which idea is best. We could look at them both together and then set the phase. Kind of trying to get a nice oscillation here in the start. Now we can add our head to it. Show us how to do snares. I will. Okay, so after a few more kicks, we will go into snares making. We'll do like 2 more and then we can get into snare making. Okay, let's have a look at our kick again. How well does it sum here at the start? That looks very, very nice still. could also do, set this to like there and then go up. And then we make this very, very short, this MIDI note. A little bit nicer to mix in that way, I guess. We can go into the processing. We add our EQ. A little bit of extra focus on that frequency area there. I really don't like the ranges like 300 to say 700 area. Usually like around 600 hertz or 500 hertz I'd like to do like a big cut on my kicks. Removes a lot of the boxiness that we get from it. Something like that should be good. We go into our clipper. Something like that. And then we can record. We want that to be one recording, obviously. Okay, we can go into our version here. This does not yet have a processing change, so we need to set that up. We probably just need to make sure that it's in phase properly. It's usually what we need to do. But this one seems actually pretty close. That's actually good enough. What I guess I'll do is just leave it here, which means that we can go straight into the final processing here. Fade this out a little bit. And then we're good. I like that gliding bass. Why is it so spiky there? I think that's issues with the resampling. I think you need to go directly from master to actually fix that. Yeah, but then you have timing issues, which isn't great. Let's quickly fix that by having this be our sum. And before this goes to the master, it goes to the sum. And this one as well. And then this can record from sum if we set this to in. This should fix both of those issues. Yes. Actually, between this kick and bass, there's a little bit of an issue here. Then obviously we can fix that for this bass in particular. For this one we should be able to set the phase properly. We want to check. Something like this, a little bit cleaner. You can just see that the transition between kick and bass here is... It just looks a lot nicer, right? Okay, consolidate this. It's a little bit loud. I guess this is a kick with a little bit less sub, but that's okay. Doesn't always have to be the same amount, right? Kick drum number 12. You're having a beer. Well then, we are having a beer together. Mine is almost finished. Heineken. As a Dutchman, I have to say that we say in the Netherlands that Heineken is horse piss. Just so you know. Enjoy your beer. Oh yeah, I can minimize these. That's okay. Let's see how this comes out. Very clean kick and bass. Look how well it sums together as well. I like that. Cheers, thank you. Same to you as well to Andre. Even though I'm saying that it's horse piss, still, I hope that you enjoy your horse piss. Hey guys, I found you through Dash. Thanks Dash, I got a lot of vids to watch. Yes you do, there's a lot of stuff on my channel, if you haven't found it out yet, but there's a lot of old stuff. To be honest, I'm gonna go into my YouTube studio for this, because this is always interesting. It's always interesting for me as a creator to talk about my content, because obviously I like my content, but say this is like an old video, right? The Deep Jungle Walk. This should still be from the days of Budapest. I just want to go back into, my old videos. For one, I looked like a hobo, but that is besides the point. What really strikes me is how bad I was at presenting stuff. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're doing another lead sound design tutorial. This isn't a request. I haven't been getting a lot of requests lately, but I am working on a recreation of Deep Jungle Walk by Asterix. Today I'm going to, you know what I mean? You know, it's to me personally, I find it hard to watch myself, because as a content creator, you're always trying to make better content, and going back on your very old content and looking at how poorly you were doing in the beginning shows you how much you have gained as a content creator, and shows you how much you've grown in just the ability to like speak for the camera. Even now, right, while I'm chilling here on stream, I have a much easier time speaking to the camera than before, where I used to prepare stuff. I used to have a list of all of the things that I wanted to say during the recording, so that I at least knew that I kind of went through all of the things that I wanted to talk about. And nowadays, for the videos that I make now, it might not seem like it, but I just wing it. I just open up my DAW, open up my recording setup, and I just rant about the things that I have in front of me, the project that I have in front of me, whatever that may be. So I've gotten a lot more comfortable watching my own stuff, But I also think that for people who are just finding out about me, it may be, it's both a blessing that I have now like quite a catalog of videos, but also a curse in the sense that I don't like my old videos. And as a result, I'm scared that other people will also not like my old videos, because let's face it, I was just bad at presenting myself in older videos. But that's because you learn. That's because it's the first time that you're doing something, and it's a skill that you need to train, just like many other skills. Okay, let's go for a darker sound again. And a very snappy body here. Don't know if that's exactly what I want. Let's take another D sharp note here. That works kind of well. Because they see how much better you got. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little bit of an irrational fear, because people who just find out about me, they're, I think, mostly interested in the things that I talk about and not in the way that I talk about them. So at the end of the day, I'm still going to keep them up. I still believe that they're good for my channel to have, because also they still bring in views. Which just like explains to me that people are still interested in that content, even though that I personally don't like the actual content itself. And or like is not the right word. I wouldn't watch it myself, I should say. Presenting doesn't matter much if the content is good. Well, to a certain point I agree, but at some point, like, if I look at my own videos, I can definitely tell that, like, had I presented it much better, had I just been a little bit better in speaking on camera and editing myself, and both editing in the sense of what I want to say in the moment while I'm there, as well as editing, like, in general, when you just edit your videos. If I had done both of those things a little bit better, I would have maybe been a little bit better off at the time. But now that I have the skill, I can use that skill to start growing more and more. That's also why I think lately the streams have been doing a lot better. Now that I've been getting into streaming regularly, like a few times every week, I think my stream is just a little bit more entertaining. Even though the content is pretty much the same, apart from like the challenges and the feedback. I really like this D sharp. Nice. We still need to make the rest of the cake, so still definitely lacking something. I want more high end from this. Maybe like this area. That looks pretty good. I think this needs a very long hat here. We need a big hat on this one. Hat 13. Bit higher pitch. Let's make this mono. Utility. Utility is one of the things that don't open via my menu. This utility opens like CV utility, and I don't know if I can just have it search for this utility on its own. I guess that's the best sound, isn't it? Let's see our kick layers. Okay, so we have very strong transient here. I guess the transient itself, the transient source, could go down a few dB. That's still good sounding, right? Just doesn't have that extreme of a click anymore. Hello Justin, how are you doing? I mean, the click is still there. But now we can do our processing, our clipping, and then we should be good. Oh, this is in the wrong thing. That means that I deleted this from the wrong track. Guess we can push this back in here and then throw an EQ on here. I guess that changes the sound of the kick completely, because I was boosting it into the clipper, I guess. Nice dark area there. It's kind of like the oomph of the kick. This area here. Bit more of that, and I guess we'll have a very strong boost in here. I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking, Justin. Glad you were able to join the stream today. We're just making kick drums and we'll be doing more stuff as well. We'll look into making snares in a little bit. I guess I'll finish off this kick drum and then we can look into making some other drums, because that's interesting too. Okay, let's place this on here so we can check the window. Yes, we need to do a lot of clipping on this, so we'll make our processing here. It's gonna be 13. Thanks for your content, projector. I'm going to watch this back another time. Much love. Thank you for passing by. That's my beer gone, as well as my beer buddy. Unless you're still with us. I don't know. It sounded like the way that you worded it that you're going to leave the stream, but that might not be the case. I don't know. Still feel like it's a little bit too bright. There's like 2 spikes in there that we can target, maybe. That lowest spike. Oh, I should be listening to this version here, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so that's something that I like. We can see if we can lower the desired frequency a bit. That's the area, and then this one. Goes like that. What I want to check out is our kick and bass relationship. So we go into here. I think I might want this to oscillate one more time. Let's check this one. Yeah, let's see if we can push this to here with our phasing, or to there, I should say. Edit. That's the one that's on, right? I hope so. Actually, it's like this forward, yes. Let's look at our kick on its own. Or this is still taking inputs from its components. Yeah. That's what I want is here. Yeah, so we are post-stringing a lot, but that's okay because we can still cut it. Okay. So this is D sharp, right? D sharp, perfect. Okay. We copy this over. Kick number 13 has been made. Now this is starting to also become a pack that I can just use in my productions. So that's another benefit as well. Because normally when you have like 5 or 6 samples of a pack out there, you kind of feel like it's a little bit limiting. But now that I have like 13, I can definitely use this a lot more. And obviously if we get to, as I said, 50 kick drums per BPM, then really I'm gonna have a lot of choice out of kick drums that I can use. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but somebody's screaming. Either way, kick drums are done. I want to show you guys how to make snare drums. And I'm going to start a new project for this. I'll do some snare drums, I'll do some hats, because it's interesting and somebody asked me to. I don't remember who asked me to, but somebody did. Right? Deepikus asked me to. So we'll start off with the snare, which is what Deepikus wanted me to show. I'm going to start off by grouping this. I always like to start organizing this as soon as possible, because I know this will turn into a session at some point. So, we want a recording track. This wants to have a serum sitting in here. But you could do any synth, but there's a few things that you need for it. So we'll take input, we'll call this recording. This will be the source. And what I want is a size scope. First of all, I want to organize this in the same way that I organized the other one. This will be noise 1. Let's group this and call this one source, and this will be the noise. And then we'll have to have an area for the tone and an area for the spike. And I'll explain what all of these components are in a little bit. I just want to set up the rack system here that we had before. So this will be tone 1 and this will be spike 1. Here we'll have some processing. I can just throw on rack like this. Processing 1. And I should set up the same kind of tool that I had before with the different selectors. So let's set that up quickly. I hope I remember what I used for this. I believe it was 2 multimults. This one going into here as well as here. And then this goes to fader. Fader going into this. Map this input into here. It goes up to 1. And then here we want our change selector. We want this mapped to 100. We'll have to do that for all of those. And while we're here, map, do that. Change selector, map to macro 1, mapping 100. This one goes on there. Okay, change selector, map to macro, map 100. We're doing this so that there's a 1-to-1 relationship between one value in here from 0 to 100 and here from 0 to 100. If that makes sense. There. Spike, chain, this, map 100. Here, map, spike, click. Done. So this means that I can select whatever chain that I want with this fader, just like in the other one. You can see now the fader is at 0, so we have our starting point. So this actually needs to record from the source. This will be the recording part. This will be track 1. I want another, and another. This needs to go into audio 8. This will be edit, and then final recording, and this will be our very final version. Final snare. Okay, same setup as before, right? In terms of the grouping and the way that we've created everything. What I want to do is add a size scope here so that we can analyze things. I know it's a little bit of a hassle to set up everything, but you do kind of need this if you want to do it very well. This is going to be the noise, this is going to be the tone, and this is going to be spike. Spike has its own thing here, so noise, tone, and then the spike. Okay. So, let's start off with the noise here. What we want is a noise with an envelope on top of it. And again, I like to use the LFOs because you have a little bit more control. Now, I like my snares to be, save the template. Yes, obviously this is going to become a session. I actually can save this now. Today is the 4th, so 04, 02, 2023. Session, and we have drum, back, snare drum making, to be in line with our last session here. This is why I do all of this setup, by the way, is because then every new one that you make is a lot easier to do. It's a lot quicker to do. But anyway, we want some noise with an envelope on top of it. Now, I like my snares to be short and punchy. And most people usually have snares that are longer than half of the beat. And I don't like that. I don't like how that sounds. But let's give this a try. So 1/8, and we'll just have an envelope going down like this. What we probably want is some EQing on this afterwards to be able to shape the noise a little bit. But we first want to make our section here. So this is going to be one section. And we'll just make it like this. Okay, so we need to set it to envelope mode. What's the secret behind the Psytrance gig? Well, I did just do the last 2 hours of the stream talking about that, so you're a little bit late, unfortunately. We've moved on to snares now. But I can tell you that when it comes to other genres, psytrance has a very punchy kick sound. You get that nice, strong mid-range. When it comes to my kicks in particular, there's some magic that I'm doing with having it 4 BPM. I know that it doesn't make a lot of sense to have it that way, but this ensures that 1, it only sits in the first half of your beat, and 2, it the second thing is that the bass note falls into it nicely and you don't have to phase align the kick anymore. So that's why we have like BPMs for that. So there's some magic stuff going on here. Okay, we have our noise. Let's work on our tone. And our tone is just going to be basic sine wave with a pitch envelope that's on there. We just need to set the right MIDI. I want around 150 to 200-ish in terms of the final note. So this one can go a little bit higher still in the MIDI. $155, that should be good. Okay. What we want for our tone is a very short envelope like this. Maybe we want a stronger one. Also, we need to set these to envelope. Okay, final thing that we want is a spike, and a spike is going to be basically the same thing, just with a very strong or much stronger pitch envelope. So it's essentially the two things that we did with our kick. We have a very strong envelope for the very start of the transient and a very weak envelope for the continuation of the transient. And this can go here. Okay, let's take LFO 1 and also assign this to the master tuning. So we get a stronger sound here. Very strong click sound. Let's distort this a bit. I might want to go a little bit lower in the key here. Okay, now that that's done, we want to saturate these together and we want to start shaping our tone. So let's add our saturator. You can start to hear that it starts to sound like a snare. Will there be a feedback stream on this Sunday? Yes, there will be. There will be a feedback stream tomorrow. How long you were learning modulation? To get all of this right, to get all of the modulation right for like snare drums, I guess I would say I studied it for an hour-ish, because it's not hard. If you just dissect a snare drum in your mind, what is going on, what you'll have is that you'll have this tonal component then morphing into the noise component, which is really done by having this saturator cranked. That's what we can hear now. I meant synthesis. Like in general, Let's tune this. I love sample manipulation, but I find synthesis boring. Well, when it comes to synthesis, for me, it's really hard to just say it took me so long to learn, because I've been producing for 10 years. And in that 10 years time, I've always had synthesizers around, because I've always been producing with synthesizers. So, I mean, at the end of the day, then the answer would just be 10 years, which I don't think is it's a good way to say it. Because if I had really set my mind to it, what I've learned in those 10 years could have easily been done in one. I just didn't do it because I was interested in the whole production process. You just keep doing it, trial and error? Well, no, you have to think about it. But at the end of the day, the way that you handle it and the way that you think about it is, it has to be analytical. Once you get into an analytical mindset of trying to deconstruct the sound and to see how it was made and then to synthesize it, then it becomes really, really easy to do, right? Because then you just get the habit of knowing what it should sound like. I think I want our noise to be a bit longer here. I guess we can go. Like this. I can remove this here. Get a little bit of a dip in here. Some historical basics first. No, not so much historical, just what you're trying to do. When you say historical, I think you mean like old synthesizers and stuff. You really don't need to know a lot about old synthesizers. What you need to know about is the tools that you have available, which depends on like the synth that you would like to use. Okay. I'd say maybe that's a little bit too loud. Do you have a habit of going between DAWs? Do you ever get bored of Live 10? Well, first of all, this is Live 11, so I might get bored of Live 11. But, okay, so the thought about switching DAWs, talking about switching DAWs, is that you're going to spend 3 to 4 months struggling against your maximum efficiency when it comes to doing everyday tasks within the new DAW. So when I switched to Reaper for my mixing and no longer mixed within the project itself, I first needed to learn Reaper before I could actually achieve what I wanted to do. And so for me, when looking at that fact, and like any DAW that you switch to, is it worth 3 months of my time to have the capabilities that this new DAW has? If the answer is no, then don't switch. And you might say, well, it doesn't take me 3 months to learn, but it does, because you have muscle memory. You have very tight organization of your workflow. You have all of the things that you need to achieve to make your music in a normal way already set up in the old DAW. You don't have that in the new one. So you need to set that up, and that only comes with time trying to adapt your workflow to the new DAW. So for me, it doesn't really make sense to have to do that all the time, because that's not a fun process for me. And I'm not scared of missing out on certain things because other people are using them and I'm not using them. That's not really any of my concern. Let's have a look at the waveform of this thing. It gets a little bit messy here towards the middle. That's strange. I want to investigate a little bit why that is the case. Ah, we have different phases set up. You have to obviously set this phase to 0 so that it always re-triggers. Now it's going to be always the same snare. I guess this can go into the saturator here. Guess that's it, right? Yes, that's a nice strong snare. Perfect. This should peak. It even peaks below 0. How nice. We can do some final EQing if we want to. Let's go for M equalizer here. I actually don't like that frequency either. Am I listening to the right thing here? It's possible to hear with a kick and bass on it. I think it might be a bit too extreme for a kick and bass now. Like it's very high end. I need to filter out its very high end, I feel like. Something like that. I want to do a little bit of stereo processing on my snares as well. This snare also has a very strong transient. Maybe it's a bit too strong. Maybe like that. We can cut the start away here and just give it like a little fade in. It's still strong. It's just not so aggressive as it was before. Okay, we can do our final cut in here. In this case, the way that I want to cut these is boost them, find out where like the end is. Okay, here, set them back to 0, and just add like a little bit of a fade towards the end to make sure that it goes exactly to 0. Oh. So this is the kind of snare that you could also use in like a build-up, I would say. It might not be very suited for on the kick and bass, but if you maybe do it like this, then it might be, because it has a very, very strong transient, and that's usually not what you want for snares that sit on top of the kick and bass. But it is what you want in your build-up, so that's why it has a little bit more versatility this way. Okay, so this goes into snare. We already have one snare, but I'll make this snare number 2. Projector snare 2. Bam. Let's have a listen to it on the kick and bass, just because people asked. Okay, we'll use kick like this. I'll show you how to mix it in on the kick and bass then. Oh, I need to duplicate this, and then Control L, this goes here. Let's do that on a separate track actually, so that I can actually show you how to do that. I'll go and take my instrument for the bass line. This is the big one, isn't it? Or is it not? Do I still need to save my main bass line? I guess I do. Hold on a second. I've been moving around some files, so this bass. Yeah. I want to save this. Auto bass. Let's call it like that. So the very first thing that you want to do with your snares if you're mixing them in is pitching them. That sounds like a nice pitch for it. I just listen to like the tone of the noise, not so much the fundamental itself. What I like to do for my fundamentals is just really cut it out, because you really don't need it. Right, for the sidetrans bassline part, or the kick and bass part. And then we want to free up the transient of our kick here. That's very important. It's still going to be a bit loud, I think. From my experience, if you learn well one DAW, it becomes easier. Some DAW principles are the same. Yeah, obviously, if you have experience in music production, learning a DAW is, it's a good, it just becomes easier. But that doesn't mean that you should do it, because you still lose time if there's no potential gain from the new DAW. Like if you, for example, like me, when I switched between FL Studio and Ableton, I had a very clear goal in mind that I wanted to do. I wanted to be more efficient. I was in I was in FL Studio, and I just got bothered by all of the things that open up in its own window, that are its own interface. All of that stuff was sorry, I'm getting a little bit of a cold, but all of that stuff was hindering me in terms of music production, and I saw that Ableton was just a lot faster. That's why I switched to Ableton. When it came to Reaper, I started mixing in Reaper because I couldn't load all of the plugins that I wanted to use and load all of the tracks as WAV files in Ableton. So I needed a new DAW just to do that. I personally find it fun to learn new programs. Must be a habit thing. Yeah, it could be. I mean, I had a lot of fun exploring Bitwig. But at the end of the day, music isn't made by fun. So I want to make music. And that's why I kind of feel like I need to work in an efficient way. Also, I'm a YouTuber, so I make videos. So every once in a while, I just need to have a video to post. So I can't be fucking around too much, if you know what I mean. Let's go with a little bit of a lower tone here. This is noise. That's not going to change the tone. I should first set up our wrapper automation. Go from 0 to 0.01. I like trying out new DAWs to be up to speed. Your perspective of the one of a serious producer. I'm an artist designer. Music is my secondary hobby. I'm more casual. Yeah, sure, that's everybody has their own way of working. I'm not saying that one way is good and the other one is by definition bad, because they're not. But they are different in like philosophy, right? Mine very much comes from a philosophy of somebody that wants to how should I say that? Wants to get the most out of their product. Is this not going? Now it's going. Now the processing isn't going, so that means that we need to set up our processing. Okay, now everything is fixed here. This can go to processing. We can create our new tone. I think it's very clear also from the way that I like to set up these kind of sessions here, for example. Because now with this session, I've been spending a lot more time setting up the session and setting up the template than actually making snares. I've made one snare, and yet I have this project that in a very quick way I can make more and more snares. Can I just go through the layers again, please? Yes, we have some noise. Noise is just shaped by an LFO tool here, which is on the noise. It's noise. We have a tone, where we have a pitch spike on a sine wave. Oh. And you can play with this. We could add more harmonics, add more punch if we want to. Get kind of a knocking sound this way, maybe. We can make this a bit longer, I guess. That's maybe a bit too long. That's the knock, and finally we have the spike, which is just a very high-pitched click sound. These two together. And then with the noise with it as well. Noise is a bit loud in this case. Now we're getting a nice snare. There you go. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate Ableton, it's one of the most capable DAWs out there. It kinda annoyed me that everyone was using it. I guess it's for a good reason. I mean, there's definitely things that you can criticize Ableton for. but overall it's a very, very solid software. I'm glad that I'm using Ableton. Perfect, okay. Bit strong on the high end, I say, maybe. Here also, again, we need to make sure that our processing is separated. Processing 1. Processing 2. Thing goes here. This goes macro. We go into the wrapper. And we map this to U. Okay, a little bit less stereo width. Okay, let's turn this into a high shelf and just dip this down here. Yes, we can clip this. Pre-clipper after the stereo maker. Let's gain in a lot. Can actually set this to something like this. Let's have a look at what that's not going to show, is it? I need another size scope on here as well, just to show the single waveform here. Yeah. Okay. With another strong snare, we will make our final cut. Again, the way that we're going to do that is by boosting it up, finding a nice endpoint, setting up a fade to make sure that it goes to 0, and then set this back to 0. Okay. FL is amazing, by the way. Yes, I do agree. It's a good software. It just doesn't work for me, because I don't like having to switch between different interfaces so many times. That's not something that I enjoy. I'm not going to give keys to these because I don't think that it matters too much. You should tune your drums by ear. I'm getting really tired too. It's only been 2.5 hours. Tomorrow I have another one. It is I'm gonna be honest, it's a lot more thinking that you have to do while trying to explain the snare making process or the kick making process and all of the things that you're trying to do, because it's very, very technical. And always during the streams, I feel the need to explain what I'm doing. Otherwise, it just gets boring and you guys will stop watching. At least that's kind of the feeling that I have. That's why I like to tune into streams, just to get new ideas, get new inspiration, and that's done through talking as well. So it's a little, it's very tiring to kind of do this. Not that I'm complaining. I mean, I choose to do this. As long as you read the questions, it's fine. Okay. Perfect. One thing that might help me is if I see if I can do it without headphones. Because that's always a little bit more relaxed if I can just listen to it on my speakers. I hope that this doesn't bleed too much into the speaker system. Otherwise I can turn it a little bit lower. I don't know how much you guys can hear of this or anything like that. Either way, this can go to 0.02. This way I at least don't have like the pressure pushing on my skull. Because that gets annoying very, very quickly from streaming. I have to go. See you soon, everybody. See you. Thank you for stopping by. Let's go with some brighter, higher pitch noise in this case. For the noise 3. We need to set up our processing chain for noise 3 first. Otherwise this isn't going to work. Right? It's soloed here. Okay. Noise 3. Something like this, maybe. In terms of the tone, I want a very short tone for this one. Tone 3. Around what time tomorrow is the feedback? We will have feedback. I'll probably go live between 4 and 5, depending on my planning. But as always, every Sunday, what I do is send out a notification beforehand. So if you just look on my channel during the afternoon, there should be a notify for you so that you can get notified by YouTube whenever I actually go live. Or you can turn on the bell notification down below and then you'll also get notified whenever I'm live. Some artists, musicians drink a lot because of the amount of workload. Where did that came from? I use Reason because I imagine myself in a 90s studio that drives and inspires me. I mean, that's really cool about Reason, is that you really get to play with the cables and stuff like that. Okay, we just need a spike for this, which I want to have fairly loud and fairly bright. Yeah, a bit brighter than this. Let's EQ this. You can see below a certain frequency is just an impulse. That's how fast this spike is. Can get a nice click from this. I use all the DAWs. They have something that others can't do, but Ableton is become my favorite. What drives me musically? That's a tough question. I get most of my inspiration from accidents. And what really drives me is to try to get an accident and work it out. Not to try to get an accident, because then obviously it's not an accident. But once I get an accidental cool thing, like when I'm experimenting, doing some cool stuff, usually a lot of my work involves preparing things for new tutorials, and from there I create new ideas that I can turn into potential musical ideas. So a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that I'm doing that you guys never see, that is what drives me musically. I like both tracker and linear music writing. I don't like that. And you see that from my production streams as well. When I'm producing, I just go back and forth and back and forth. Okay, here we have a snare. We can add processing number 3 to it to see if we need to. Processing 3. Go on the chain here. Then we go. Why is this not showing? Why is this? This needs to be mapped still. 100. So that's the problem with not setting this to 100, is that it starts to deviate. Now we don't have that, obviously. That's it. Okay. Go here. Do our usual trick of boosting. Cutting where it needs to be cut. Giving it a nice fade and then setting it back to 0 just to make sure that the snare is as clean as can be. Every time I start a new project, it's always as if I write music for the first time ever, random. No, for me it's not like that. Not at all. I always have a plan in mind, because I always go into a project already with like, how should I say, with this accident that happens in the experimentation or whatever. So for me, I already know what I want to do before I even start with a project. And even if I don't have like a happy accident before that, I always will have a plan for my projects. That's really cool. I like how well these snares are coming along. I'm having a hard time usually finding snares. Like the only real good snares that I have is this one. One of these here. I don't like the ones that go like this, where you can see in the waveform that it goes transient, lower part, and then the body going back up. I don't like that. These sounds here, this and this. Why producers sell their music if everyone can hear it for free? Well, some people like to support the artist with financial compensation and get something in return for that as well. So what I do is I sell my stuff on Bandcamp. And on Bandcamp you can download the WAV files of the music, which is a high quality version of the music. So if you're a DJ or if you're an appreciator of good sounding music and you want to have the highest quality possible, you go to my Bandcamp and you get the highest quality possible files. So there's a reason why people would want that, is because then the music sounds better to them. And that's like a small detail. It's audio junkie stuff at this point, but uncompressed waves do sound better than an MP3, especially in the high end. Only now I'm getting okay at EQing and compression. Some things come slower. Yeah, for me it's not the EQing. EQing has always been. I've always had like a grasp on how I should EQ. Not always, obviously, but from a very early beginning, I was definitely decent at making sure that my sounds were like tonally balanced and stuff like that. Compression I've struggled with for the longest time, up until now. I still don't have the listening environment for it, but I found that I can use most of the time M Dynamics. And M Dynamics is cool because it shows you exactly what it does. Right, if I set up a compression here, it gives you a graph of the gain reduction. So you have no problem if other people use your music. Well, depends on where you want to use it for. For example, if you want to remix my stuff, then you need to buy a license, which is $35. And I can show it to you guys here. I should have a license product ready to go here. Say that you want to remix my final track Feelings, you will get a license. This is the remix pack for Feelings. You'll get a license and you'll be able to remix it. It's $30 minimum. You can pay more if you want to. The reason why I do that is because I want to have some sort of control and assurance that people don't just take my music and, I don't know, if I didn't have that control, then technically they could take my music and put footage of Hitler on top of it, or turn it into Russian propaganda or something like that. I want to be able to have the control of copyrights to be able to say, no, I don't want you to use that, I don't want you to use that. The same is true for re-uploads of my music. If you take my music, turn it into a video, make like a cool visualization video, and then post it on your channel, I don't want that. So there I want to be able to just say, no, I don't want you to do that. But if in a DJ set, then yes, obviously, go for it. Go for it. I have no issues with people performing my music as part of a live set, but also as part of a set, for example, on YouTube. If you want to do a DJ set and record it, and then as part of your set you want to use my music, then go for it. As long as you buy, well, not as long as you buy, but then you'll have to buy the Bandcamp WAV files if you want that live set to also sound good, obviously. You could download it off of SoundCloud with one of those very obscure SoundCloud downloaders or whatever, but then you get low quality stuff and all of that. So I want to I don't try to make it so that my sound is behind the paywall, but if you want the best possible quality of my track, then you'll have to pay a little bit for it. And it's $1 per track. It's $10 for the whole album. That's nothing. That's like absolutely nothing in terms of monetary value for an album that I've spent 2.5 years working on, if you think about it. I haven't even made back the investment that I put in yet on the album. Not by far. It's playing two things. Yeah, so this sample is normalized. Okay. Let's do a few more here. Go from 0.3 to 0.03. Got this here. And now we need to make, obviously, new chains. processing 4. Let's start from the beginning. Noise 4. And as well, I want to have control of that. Let's start with a noise here. We should be able to hear that now. It's a little bit hard to guess how it's going to react to the main saturator that is going to glue the 3 elements together. But I think what I'll have to do is find an area where like kind of the sound. Let's go like 125 hertz here. Make a little dip and then this is kind of the area that I want. Here, I guess that's a good area. We'll have tone 4. Just curious, but where does the majority of your musical income come from? Like music, sound packs, lessons? Right now, it's always been lessons, but this last month and a half, I've been quite slow with the students. Everybody had like Christmas break, and we haven't really gotten back into it. And at the same time, I've been selling a lot of packs. So for this month, it's going to be the packs that's overtaking it, but that's like by $100 or $200 or something that it overtakes it. It's not a lot. Okay, so this one can be a bit lower. I want a spectrum on here, so I can see here, right? Yeah. Spectrum. You're very meticulous and technical. For me, the idea, mood, and composition first, EQ compression later. Well, you can't beat a good quality sound packs as yours. Thank you. I'm glad that you're enjoying the sound packs. I don't know how people enjoy them, but the rating seems good, so that's nice. And always get good messages, so that's... I always have like it's always like a little bit of an anxiety. Is it that I make good sounds, or that the sounds that I'm making sound good on my system? Because my system is far from ideal in this kind of thing. Do you have a MIDI keyboard? Do you play any instrument? I don't play any instrument. I have no musical experience outside of the box, outside of the PC. What you did say before, you're very meticulous and technical. You see that now because now I'm working on samples. The only reason why I'm working on samples is so that I don't have to do this all of the time when I'm just producing. When I'm producing, I very much focus on the theme of the track. That's the most important part of a good psytrance track. So that's what I focus on. And I don't get technical. I don't deep dive into EQing sounds, and I don't deep dive into compression and stuff like that. I am actually one of the few people who does all of their production in one project and then exports all of their stems and mixes them into a different project. So all of my technical stuff and the mixing stuff and the balancing stuff really come later. Okay, we need our spike hills here still. So I am very technical now, but only because I don't want to have to do this all the time. Let's process these together. Of course, saturator is the main one that you use. Go EQ this. I like this one. This is nice and big sounding. Look at the waveform some more. We have lost kind of the... So these are all of the layers, by the way. What I should also do, now that I think about it, is let's go like this. This will be total. This will take input from the source, so that's the combination of all three, and it will send it to SizeScope directly. Right? Post effects. This is our snare post after the effects. What I want to do on this one is I want to edit it here with an LFO tool. Modulation. LFO tool. Called analog equipment like samplers, effects, processes, on how they work. For me, that's never been an area where I've been particularly interested, I would say. Go in here and use here. Okay, so we should listen here. This, what is still playing? This is still playing. We don't want that to play. Yeah, so this one will be a little bit more transient heavy. Right? We'll make our final cut. Boost it up. Oh, this one is long. I need to record more. Up. Let's fade you out. Like that, and then go back down again. Nice, strong kind of sound, I would say. Actually, I should send this to Rapper. So this always shows the waveform of the latest version of the snare. Do you think the best music comes from worst conditions? No, take care of yourself. Then you'll write good music. It's the opposite. You need to feel good. Not bad. Okay, let's drag this in here. That's how you make snare drums. It's been 3 hours. To be honest, I was hoping that I had a little bit more energy today. I guess it's because I do a lot of technical things today that it's a little bit more draining. What I do want to do is I want to do this more. And that means that from next week, what I'll hopefully do is have one production stream, one sample making stream, and then the Sunday stream, which is either the challenge or the feedback. And then I hope that within a few months of doing that, I can have a full pack here with all of the kicks, all of the layers that I want to add to it, the other sounds that I'm adding to it, all of that stuff. That I have a well-rounded drum pack that I can sell. That's not just the Drum Collection Volume 1, but that will be the Drum Collection Volume 2. Hopefully this pack is a little bit bigger and a little bit higher in like quality. Not that these are bad samples, but they're not the best. I mean, techno kick, tonal kicks. This is not really meant for psytrance even. I think I made most of these before I even really got into psytrance. Back when I still had the idea that I could be both projector as well as Tremont doing like dubstep and mid-tempo and stuff like that. What's the secret behind sitting 3 hours making music? Live stream yourself and force yourself to be entertaining. I will never sit down like this and just make music concentrated for 3 hours unless I'm live streaming myself, because I feel like I have an obligation to make my content interesting for you guys, which I take very seriously, and I'm very happy that I'm able to do that. But it does mean that in that case I just have a lot more focus. So that's what prevents me from like lacking concentration and stuff like that. YouTubing music is a full-time thing. It's not full-time. I'm still in university. So I'm technically a student. So I do this on the side between my study. So we, the audience, keep you glued to the chair. Exactly. Fresh air from a window helps a lot. Yeah, with my gas bills, that's not a good idea now, but any other time it would be. Do you have music on streaming services? I think it is. Let me check. Stream on Spotify. Yep. Here's all of my old stuff. Very old list. 2 monthly listeners. I feel like streaming is like a few buddies get together and do stuff. Very much, yes. It's for me. Obviously, I don't like know you guys personally, so I don't really look at you guys as how you would look at friends. I know a little bit about you guys. Like I know that Klaus has its own production style. I know that Shadow Rage is fairly new here in the chat. I know that Real Alex has been in the chat for a while. There's more people that come in here. There's some people that stay a few times. There's some people that religiously watch every stream of mine, stuff like that. But you're not really friends. And not to be... I'm not trying to be not nice here or something like that, but I'm telling you guys the truth, because you cannot make a personal connection with each and every one of you. I can still kind of do it, like through Discord and stuff like that. I do get to know a lot of my community and the people who are most active, and I have conversation with like even behind the screen, those people I know very, I wouldn't say fairly well, but there's some people that I like speak to, you know what, right? So but the more that your community grows, and I feel like at some point I want to grow this YouTube thing into a full-time thing that I can do with, I don't know, I would need like 100,000 subscribers or whatever, and the videos getting big amounts of views, a lot of products being sold, all of that stuff, if I want to do this full-time for the rest of my life, which is the dream, right? I would like to have my place in the music industry some way or another, either through my music itself or by being able to teach people about the music that they make. The problem with that is, if you were to go to 100,000 or 200,000 or however many people in your community that you need to pay the bills, in that case, you never have enough time to personally know each and every one of them. So in that point, what you'll essentially see is that my chat becomes like one faceless kind of mass of people instead of the individual people that they are. And I like that now I can still read everything and I don't have to ask you guys with, can you type 1 if you want me to do something and type 2 if you don't want me to do something, right? Like big streamers do. Because then you run the risk of people just becoming answering machines for you, and you just look at, okay, I get so many ones, I get so many zeros, let's go from there. Or I get so many ones, so many twos, let's go for option 2, right? Would you write music for games? If a game approaches me and they say, well, we like your music and we would like to feature it in a game, then I would definitely consider it. But I don't know if I want to make music in the sense that making something that's out of my comfort zone. I don't know if I like streamers with very few viewers because at least you read my questions. Yeah, usually what you'll see with very big streamers is they only read the questions anymore that they get into their donation box. And I have the whole messages donation thing set up, but as long as I can still just read the chat as it's scrolling along, then that's very nice. If all of you guys start spamming all together and all of them start asking different questions and stuff like that, then I might get lost too. But I'm still not at that point yet, and I kind of like that. Also, I would like to have it grow up slowly. I wouldn't want to be able to, or I wouldn't want to have it that tomorrow I wake up and I get, I don't know, 1,000 viewers on the stream because of the feedback, and the chat just explodes and I cannot read it anymore. I would like for that to slowly grow so that I can learn how to handle it more and more as it grows. If it grows. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow there's a meteor and we'll all die. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Thanks for your time, Mr. P. Mr. P, wow. Love the idea of setting up template projects for Snare creation. Watch the first half of the stream again and convert everything to Vital, no serum here. Yeah, I mean, it should be the same thing. Vital has a noise oscillator and LFOs that you can use as envelopes. And really that's all that I use serum for. YouTube's popularity can fade as fast as it explodes. Well, let's be real here. I could probably target my content a little bit more towards mainstream music production, right? Psytrance is and will probably always be very niche music. So my reach is also very, very small. As long as that reach is good enough to help me sell some products and to create some cool content and please and have a community around it, I could continue making this kind of content. But if I really wanted to do something a little bit more professional, then every once in a while I would make something more generic. Please don't. Yeah, it also goes against what I creatively want to do. But if I want to turn this into a full-time thing, then I need to first and foremost worry about the money. Point is though, at the moment I don't really care that much. I'd rather have my small community building up, as I said, and just friendly interactions, friendly vibes, and continue making the music and making the things that I like to make. So don't worry about it. I'm not going to all of a sudden realize that, oh, I need money and change. But every once in a while I'll put out a video that's a little bit generic. For example, the video that I did before the last video, which was about the free plugins that I use. Everybody's looking for free plugins. And I made a very generic video on that. I'm now putting out shorts from that video. You guys may have seen the shorts. They're not performing as well as I would have hoped, but they are getting posted every day. I also think once all of the shorts for the music are running out, because I'm also every 3 days I'm posting one of the shorts from the album, which has nice visuals in there. Once that runs out, which is the 17th, and I just go into production short after production short, I think my shorts will start to perform a little bit better, because I know for a fact that fewer people watch the shorts that have my music in them as opposed to the ones that I do about production, the production tips and actually tutorial content in the short. Can you give a couple of crucial EQ tips? Yes. When it comes to EQing, what is important is one, that you listen to it in context. Now, in this case, for example, the context is just our snare, but it's built up out of a bunch of different components. So what I like to do is I like to make, for example, the noise component here. Say that I'm working on that. I like this noise. This is how I set it up. So what we did before is we made the noise, I created a tone for the noise, we made the tone, I created a tone for the noise, and then a spike, and we created the EQ for the spike. What you then want to do is you want to make sure that all of those settings still make sense once the context is revealed. I go back into the noise once the tone and the spike are made to make sure that they still work with each other. So it's always a balancing game. The second thing, this obviously works for any context that you're working in. If you're talking about a mix, then you need to listen to the whole mix to make sure that your EQ works. But what is important is that that does not mean that you always have to EQ with the whole mix playing. Sometimes it's a good idea to, if you're, for example, targeting a specific frequency, or you're trying to hear a nasty resonance, or you're trying to remove some low frequencies or high frequencies that you don't need. In those cases where you already have the idea of what you want to do, you can just isolate it, do what you need to do, and then listen again to it in the mix. And I think, because a lot of people kind of get to the point where they say, okay, I'm going to go into EQing, and one of the first things they will hear is that people say, always EQ with the mix, always EQ with the mix. But that's only if you don't really know what you're doing, because you need the context to be able to judge what changes you make translate into. Good times, fun with systematic sample making, but yeah, I agree. Different software can. Even if we're not friends, I still like personal answers. Thanks. You're welcome. That's the service that I provide here. As a not friend. Your English is excellent. Did you spend some time here? I'm Dutch, so I grew up basically speaking English in school. I do feel like I have been developing a little bit of an Italian accent on my English. Like, I don't have the Dutch English accent anymore. I mean, I can probably try to force it, but that wouldn't sound that great. I thought Polish. No, Dutch. Never been to Poland. I want to go though. There's a big tournament going on right now in Poland. ESL Katowice or CS:GO. I don't know if anybody is into CS:GO, but still. Anyway, there's not much more that I need or want to say. I'm going to finish the stream for today because I want to finalize the marketing material and all of the other things that I need to do for the masterclass. And then, what else do I need to do? Oh yeah, I need to post the videos for my patrons, the new videos for next week. I thought that you were Swedish, remember? Yeah, you said that I was Swedish. You offered me to, I don't know, for like a collaboration or something like that. You can just come to me in the studio, and I was like, I don't think you know where you live, where I live. I do remember that. What's your favorite genre outside of psytrance? Kind of everything. I mainly listen to psytrance, even when I'm like listening to music from a relaxed standpoint, when I'm not trying to analyze something. I do have a YouTube playlist with all kinds of random music. I can find that. Called Epic Music for Epic Moments. I don't think I've ever shared this with anybody, but it's also full of music that I just want to remember. So it opens up with the Amino thing, and then it's like 300 random tracks. There's hardstyle, deathcore, whatever. There's drum and bass, there's old pop music, there's weird memes, there's all kinds of stuff in there. So that's a playlist that I have. This is kind of all of the random music that I love and listen to and stuff like that. When it comes to like specific genres, I sometimes listen to metal in like as an actual playlist. I'm a fan of techno sometimes, but I'm mainly like 99% of, not 99, 95% of the time I'm listening to psytrance. I got into psytrance because my friend was blasting it in his car all the time. I got into it by listening to the very progressive kind of Vici Vini, Timmy Trumpet kind of style. And from there, I decided like, oh, how to make a psytrance bass line. And I looked up the tutorial, and I saw a tutorial for actual, when I say actual psytrance, I don't mean it like that, but like more traditional psytrance. I don't like the phrasing, this is real psytrance or this is not real psytrance. I always hated that idea, that there should be like a fine line definition between psytrance and not psytrance. What subgenre would you consider your music is within Psy? Probably progressive, but in the sense that Asterix and Outsiders and Burn and Noise and all of those guys kind of make progressive. There's always like a debate on what is full on and what is progressive, but I think those two are like very intertwined with each other. And when I'm saying progressive, I don't mean prog, where prog is the kind of things that artists like Gillax makes, right? I think it's called future progressive. So it's not that, it's the kind of traditional progressive psytrance, which is a strange way of saying it, but still. Anyway, I'm gonna end the stream here. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll post a notification nice and early. Also, final time I'll say you can already post stuff before the stream starts. You can even post stuff right now if you want to. But you can already post stuff before the stream starts so that I have some stuff to get into. And so that we have some stuff to start off the stream with. Other than that, I don't have to say anything. So, thank you guys for the stream. Thank you for all being here. When does the stream start tomorrow? The stream starts between 4 and 5. I'll put it out a notification as I always do on the Sundays. Every Sunday I post a notification fairly early so that you guys have time to prepare and you get to turn on the notification. It should appear in your subscription box or on my channel, where there should be a live now section, I think. Are work in progress accepted? Yes, of course. The only thing that isn't accepted are remixes or anything that you don't have the full rights to. Right? Obviously, you need to allow me to play everything that you own on the stream, the whole track on your stream, on my stream. So if it's a remix and there will be vocals in there or something like that, then obviously we cannot have that. Will you stream games? No. I do like to play games sometimes, but I don't think I would want to stream games for a couple of hours at a time. Wait, what are you talking about? We're talking about tomorrow's feedback stream. Tomorrow, the idea of the stream is that I will sit here and I will listen to your tracks and I'll give you guys feedback on the track. So for that, I'm trying to organize everything that I need to say. I think that's everything. I hope that I can finally stop it now because I've been stretching another 20 minutes. But either way, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream and I hope to see you tomorrow.